This AFC Playoff Preview and Wild Card Weekend Picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WinBet. Sign up using our link and receive a $500 risk-free bet. That's right, $500. And if you send in your first bet slip, you'll get a free t-shirt. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/win for a $500 risk-free bet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNN. We're also brought to you by Better Than Vegas. Better Than Vegas is the home for avid sports bettors, providing insights, analysis, and free betting picks. Better Than Vegas, it's like YouTube for sports betting. Make sure to subscribe to our page so you don't miss a pick. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV. We're also brought to you by Better Edge. Better Edge is a stock market for sports bets, allowing you to buy and sell betting positions like a stock market. The best part is it allows you to bet with no vig. That's right, no vig betting that's legal in 40 states. Sign up at betteredge.com, promo code SGP for a free $10 bet. That's BETTOR edge.com, promo code SGP. Finally, we're brought to you by Ace Per Head. Ace is the leader in pay per head providers, and they make it super easy to start your own sportsbook. Plus, Ace is offering up to 6 weeks free over at aceperhead.com/SGP. That's aceperhead.com/SGP. Woo! Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer dog?
Just got back from some laps, Sean.
Laps? What are you doing?
6 and 10, not good enough. Doing laps.
Oh, I thought it was the league's fault, the Doug Peterson's fault. There's personal responsibility on the Giants team.
I'm a grown man. I'm accountable for my actions, and I'm repenting in the form of laps.
Okay. And what are you repenting for?
6 and 10. Okay. All rise. We will be better in the future. Gettleman moving to a role that's not the GM. That's a good sign.
But did they really say that Gettleman's not coming back as GM?
I'm breaking that news.
I heard he was coming back as GM. Our buddy Nagels Bagels on Twitter responded to a tweet I thought that said, "Fuck!" Just him yelling "fuck" that Dave Gettleman was still going to be the GM.
Well, it's kind of like Milton in Office Space. He's still going to be there, but maybe the checks won't be showing up.
Well, it did work for Howie Roseman when Chip Kelly put him in the equipment locker for a year and a half. He came out hungry. Got us the Super Bowl, and then it all fell apart. So maybe he needs another year in the equipment locker.
What was that guy's name in old school? Was it Cheese?
Yeah,
I got out.
Hey, we put you in a dumpster. Yeah, I got out. Old school. That holds up, man. I watched that movie the other night with my wife. I'm like, holy shit, this movie is hilarious.
It's definitely the #1 movie I'm excited to watch with the little one.
Oh, yeah, there's a number of words and situations, Ryan, that
not yet.
Certain threshold.
Well, yeah, I'm not ready.
The opening gangbang scene. I feel like sometimes the birds and the
gangbang.
Sometimes the birds and the bees are involved in a swinging situation with multiple partners. We don't kink shame in this family.
Oh.
All right, Ryan. Enough messing around. It is playoff time.
Let's do it.
We since it is Super Wild Card Weekend, we're going to be breaking this up into 2 podcasts. Right now, you're listening to the AFC Playoff Preview. We're going to do a 30,000 foot view, a big pass of all the teams that made it to the AFC playoffs. Then we're going to go through and hit on all the wild card picks for the AFC side. Tomorrow night, we're going to do the same thing for the NFC. And man, we got so much content going on. Thursday night, we're going to be doing a bonus DFS episode. We also just recorded a fantasy football playoff challenge episode.
Yes,
with John Jackson. That was awesome. And again, if you want to get involved in fantasy DFS or just fantasy challenge, the $200 or the $35 if you're broke or don't have as much cash to throw around, but $200, they're $200 contests. You can win $500,000.
Don't embarrass Sean.
I highly suggest signing up and checking out the podcast. John lays out some great strategies. We give out some cool lineups there. So that's worth checking out. Saturday night, Ryan, we are going to be doing a gambling simulcast. It is first of its kind with a Better View Live. All you got to do on Saturday nights, we're going to kick it off 8 East, 5 p.m. Pacific for the Bucks Washington football team game. Head over to betterviewlive.com. You click in there. It's really easy. You just hit join demo. If they ask for a password, you clicked on the wrong thing. and it's gonna be us and Kramer, kind of
us and Kramer.
Oh, sorry, myself and Kramer, giving almost not doing a broadcast because you're not allowed to do an actual broadcast, but we're gonna be doing like live updates on the odds. We'll give out obviously our picks, some props we like, and kind of like The Sims, but if they played a real game. So
it'll be a good hang.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be Saturday night. I'm sure we'll be tuned up, and they have a chat room as well. So if you guys want to come mix it up, betterviewlive.com Saturday night, and we are going to be doing both on Saturday night and Sunday night a pre and post game show. Ryan, we're working every goddamn day. And it's pretty awesome. Not going to complain.
What have we done? What have we done, Sean? There's too much
Created
football.
a monster.
Too much content.
I mean, the Super Wild Card Weekend is pretty super.
Fucking hungry hippo content. Just
eating it. And speaking of that, make sure you guys, if you're in the free roll football contest and you're in the running for these season long prizes, reminder, it runs all the way through the Super Bowl. And maybe Wolverines 2019 Ryan is there's some space between him and the rest of the contestants.
Unbelievable.
Gambling Engineer is at 8 wins behind.
It's ridiculous.
Matt Steam 140 in third place. Juan from Walgreens 137. Wolverines 2019 150. Of course, the rest of you guys playing for pride. Don't put in the backups. Make sure you get in your picks, and make sure you follow Kramer and I over at BetSperts.
There's only 11 games left, or what? 13 games left. So
the free roll football contest brought to you by BetSperts. So make sure you check that out. All right, Kramer.
What do we want to announce? Who won the last?
Oh yeah, sorry. Who won week 17?
Wolverines. Once again, he tied for second.
God.
Oh my God.
It's starting to wonder if this
guy's getting too much merch,
plugged into the Matrix in some form or fashion. Fun name, Sean. Baby F and Whale also tied for second place there with 11.
Baby fucking wheel, man.
Also Sopa P. Shout out to Sopa P. Pre-game god, but it's M McGannon with a record of 12-3 in the mayhem of week 17. Sean. Perhaps he also didn't play Sunday night, which is why he only had 15 picks. We'll have to check back when he claims his prize. So yeah, send us a note. Get that merch.
Yeah, get that merch. Welcome to UAB, checking in on the YouTube live stream, wanting to know, can he play a defense in the flex spot, Ryan, in the FFPC challenge?
Cannot.
You cannot. Sorry, only tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks.
Looking to one up your defense punt strategy.
But excuse me. Make sure you check out that episode. Tons of good stuff there. We're going to be getting to the AFC Playoff Preview, giving our thoughts on the futures. Before we do, want to give a shout out to new presenting sponsor, WinBet. That's right. You want to win big? You got to do it with WinBet. They're setting you up for a $500. That's right, $500 risk-free bet. And if that's not enough, you sign up with WinBet. Send in your first WinBet screenshot. Email it in to podcast@sportsgamblingpodcast.com or hit us up on Twitter. However you choose to get a hold of us, carrier pigeon. If you have my phone number for some reason, feel free to text it. Get you a free T-shirt. WinBet, man, it's pretty cool. After you put in your bet, you can get do a little wheel spin to boost the parlay.
#Legends only.
Tons of boosted bets. And if WinBet isn't in your state now, tons of states are coming. But if you know someone in New Jersey or Colorado where they're currently active and you can get them to sign up, you will qualify for a free T-shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/win. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/win. WYNN. Number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. Kramer, the Kansas City Chiefs, right now -140 for the conference, +175 for the Super Bowl. Of course, our buddy Alex Crouch checking in, pointing out how we were both on the under of the Chiefs. Thought there would be a little bit of regression.
My bad, bro.
I'll say this about the Chiefs: is this not the least hyped up, least talked about 15-1 team? And maybe it's just because they're not covering spreads and they're not doing it in dominating fashion, but they're still 15-1. They have home field. They have the bye. They basically have back-to-back weeks of buys. that could be a little bit of issue.
That's
but
always a little scary.
But this Kansas City team, and they showed it last year, they got down in every one of those games and came back. So I think they have the confidence, great coaching, Patrick Mahomes, the defense does enough. They get plays when they need to.
And we're going to be talking about them coming off a bye, Andy Reid coming off a bye.
Yep.
In some ways it's like the price is crazy because you got to lay 140 for the conference. I mean, only plus 175 for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But it's one of those futures where when you're sitting there in the Super Bowl and they're minus 200 against someone, minus 170. Again, I'm not looking to get involved because in my mind, the problem with the Chiefs, and I think part of the reason John even touched on it, like the Chiefs potentially being a one and done, or alluding to the fact that they're an interesting team this year, because there's a strong possibility they're going to face Baltimore or Tennessee. And Baltimore and Tennessee are the two teams that if you're Kansas City, you're probably not itching to play them. You'd much rather get in a shootout with Buffalo. You'd much rather run into Pittsburgh. I'm just saying that I think whoever comes out of that Baltimore Tennessee game, if the other teams hold serve, I'm real intrigued by those teams' ability to absolutely pound the rock down their throats.
I like the Chiefs. I think they're going to be a tough out, even in Arrowhead without fans. However, minus 140 for the conference and plus 175 for the Super Bowl. Neither of those are really that intriguing, especially in this year where home field isn't worth quite as much. I'm not playing plus 175. Now, round two, if Kansas City's laying a small number and the public's talking themselves into whoever is the lowest seed to come out, if somehow Indy pulls it off or something like that, then that's when I'm looking to pounce on Kansas City, and that's where I think there is some value.
But to your point, I think the fact that we did learn, I think I saw a nugget that exactly the same amount of home teams and road teams led at the end of regulation, which is crazy. Like it shows that there really was no home field advantage this year. And I think if anything, the fact that the spread is the ultimate equalizer, and the fact that Kansas City didn't overperform more than they underperformed would probably lead you to believe that you're probably going to have value betting against them even in the first round, even though, like you said, it's kind of a quiet.
We'll see. Cause I think the public can talk themselves. I think just my general feeling
if it's the Ravens, the public will be very excited about the Ravens.
We're dealing with Chiefs fatigue, and I think there's going to be value. I really think
that sounds like Andy Reid after a long Saturday of eating at the buffet.
You can just see him undoing his belt. I got some Chiefs fatigue.
Oh, the Chiefs fatigued.
I think we're dealing with Chiefs fatigue. I think there's going to be value in those second, maybe even the third round. I don't think there's value in the futures. Moving on to the Buffalo Bills, the number 2 seed. Of course, I gave them out preseason. I think it was plus 1,200 to win the conference. It is now plus 400 to win the conference, plus 750 to win the Super Bowl. I was hearing some plus 600s out there at 6-1. I think anything over 5-1. I think I like the Bills on a conference bet. Now we'll see if they end up getting there. And then from there, you would have an awesome hedging opportunity. Although I'm sure I wouldn't hedge, but certainly interesting. And this is, we said there was no home field advantage, Ryan. However, the Buffalo Bills, they are getting fans for these playoff games. Yep. 6,700 Buffalo Bills fans for the first time seeing Stephon Diggs. If there's any fan base that can make 6,700 fans feel like 67,000, it is the Buffalo Bills. I mean, Andre Reed's jumping out of a tree to land on a table. Did you see that video? Shout out to Andre Reed, Lehigh Valley legend, Allentown. He was a guy that I was never there personally, but Andre Reed picked up many a bar tab in the Lehigh Valley. Good dude. And I mean, he's a beast. But the Bills team, I'm all over the Bills. Love the Bills. Conference 400's a little low, but of these AFC teams, and we'll get through all of them, I would still probably bet on Buffalo to win the conference, just because I think when they get there, that 4-1 would be pretty sweet.
Again, I think it is hard to see any, at the end of the day, we've been foolish picking against Kansas City.
Yeah.
And I think you could maybe get wrapped up in it. This is the ultimate test for the K metric. Josh Allen just busting his head right through that proclamation I made. Look, I'm probably not buying the futures at this point. The value's mostly gone. I don't mind it. I mean, if you're late to the party, maybe, and you don't want to do like the mechanical parlay and work your way up, I think there's going to be more value there. Then I would maybe go straight up Super Bowl, because I think about it. Who are the Bills going to be dogs? Like who will be favored over the Bills?
Green Bay. I think Green Bay would be favored over the Bills.
Would anyone else?
Maybe the Saints. I think because of the experience.
I don't know.
And maybe even I think if Tampa Bay gets there, and I feel like we're the first outlet to discuss this, and we'll get into it in greater detail. But correct me if I'm wrong. Raymond James Stadium, Ryan. Tampa Bay Buccaneers home game in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl, and we know
that never works out.
It never does, and we know that of course Florida, not pretty loose with the COVID restrictions, so they would get some fans in there, and I think that would be pretty interesting. What we could see, and again jumping ahead to the NFC a little bit, but Aaron Rodgers looks like he's locked up the NFL MVP, and there's that crazy thing of anytime someone wins the NFL MVP right before the Super Bowl, they end up losing the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, 2017 was the last time that happened. Of course, he had a pretty decent game. Nick Foles outplayed him. Some tried to claim that that Brady, former people of SGPN tried to claim that Brady outplayed him and deserved the MVP, which is insane. Kramer, moving on to the number. I don't let shit go. Number 3 team, Steelers. My biggest question for the Steelers team, first off, is which Steelers team are we going to see in the playoffs? And I know I just said, but maybe take Bills at 400, but really 600 is the price where I really liked him. Plus 1100 for the Steelers. This is very juicy, and I think there's still value on the Steelers team at plus 1100. Am I crazy?
I mean, no, because I we'll get to this later, but I think if you walk out again, this is where we discussed this in the FFPC playoff challenge episode, but like, this is where you got to bust out the bracket and figure out what's going to happen. If they win, well, they're probably going to play Buffalo. What's that going to look like? I mean, the path for Pittsburgh is a very believable path.
Yeah.
Could you believe a veteran team with a potentially explosive offense that's going to play a bunch of teams that they won't need to really run the ball against? Sure, Kansas City, you would argue maybe they don't want to compete in a track meet with, but I would argue that they probably believe they can compete in a track meet with Kansas City. So,
well, in Kansas City, they wouldn't have to see until the AFC Championship game, and if you had it at 1100, I would actually hedge there. So Steelers very interesting, and I think they're still interesting in the futures market. Moving over to the,
I just for sure. I co-sign that. Like that's the kind of the inflection point of like value to me in terms of the futures.
Yeah. Moving over to the 4 seed, the Titans. I think the best thing the Titans have going for them is a shit ton of playoff experience, and Tannehill and Derrick Henry playing out of their minds. Their defense is obviously their weak point. But I mean, Derrick Henry making a run in January in the playoffs. I don't see it, but at 1,400, I think it's probably priced correctly. Where you at with the Titans, Ryan?
It's the exact future. I mean, this is they're probably going to see the 1 seed in the second round. They're probably going to see Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think, if you're talking about value in this game, I think one team obviously possesses more value just because they're in the same part of the bracket. One team, Baltimore, we'll get to in a second, is plus 500. Tennessee is 14-1. I think for some reason, I kind of thought Tennessee would be a popular team coming into the playoffs, and they're a team that I've definitely shit on before. Again, second rallying cry. Vrabel hasn't even offered to sacrifice his dick, or we at least it not been public yet this year. It just seems like like you said, this team has some experience, and they also have it's like that belief thing. Like this team kind of is bought into something. Yeah. And Derrick Henry, I think I saw a tweet where he was basically just saying like LFG, like, and then some like some swords like this, and it's just like. That dude's a badass, and I think it's hard to want to go against him. So
you want to tackle that guy after a 16-game season?
If you're asking me to like play a little investment portfolio game, I'm definitely going to buy some shares in the 4 seed and the 3 seed in the AFC because I can do so at 14 and 11 to 1. And as you were pointing out, perhaps if I was a man who liked to guarantee some smaller profits, I might hedge out.
Well, and again, not to jump ahead, but look at the NFC side. What would you rather have a 14 to 1 ticket on? The Tennessee Titans, who get a home game against the Ravens, a team they've beat not only this year but last year in the playoffs as well, or the Rams, who have to go on the road with Wolford at 14 to 1. And the Rams certainly have a better defense. And yeah, granted they got to the Super Bowl more recently, but wouldn't you rather have? Well, and sorry that these are the conference prices, but couldn't you see Tennessee winning the conference more than the Rams at 14 to 1? I guess maybe they get Goff back and the defense plays, but I would rather.
It seems
if you're telling me to pick a 14 to 1, I would rather take Tennessee.
It seems pretty disrespectful to a fellow Ryan who's had a pretty fucking good year. That's what I'll say to that.
And I love Wolford. The chat's getting all fired up about Wolford. You're talking to a man who started Wolford in his millionaire maker lineup, and I'm not currently a millionaire, Ryan. I like Wolford.
Not yet.
But I am being realistic. Moving over to the Ravens, the 5 seed, plus 500 to win the conference, 1,000 to win the Super Bowl. What? No part of this.
This is all. I mean,
and again, maybe tipping my hand on the pick, but 500 and 1,000. No, thank you. And you could make a case for Baltimore making a run here, but that is not the price you need to see for a team that has to go on the road a bunch to get this done.
Listen,
and really, this Ravens team. It's about Lamar Jackson versus the big game, and the big game has won every single time. And I won't forget it because I was hanging out. There was a dude who was a Ravens fan. We were hanging out at a dog cafe, where it's a coffee shop.
You don't have to explain.
It's Los Angeles. It's a coffee shop where dogs can hang out. It's pretty fun, and it's the first time I've ever talked football at the dog cafe.
Nice.
He goes to me, "Oh, I see you're an Eagles fan." We talk a little bit about the Eagles, and this is like middle of the season. I'm like, "Well, you guys got Lamar Jackson. At least you got that going for you." He's like, "Ah," I'm like, "Really? You're not a huge Lamar fan?" He's like, "Not really." He goes, "Those big games, man. He's not there. It's not the same." Just repeating what a guy said to me at a dog cafe ride.
That is next level handicapping. I mean, look, the juice has been extracted from this fruit. There's no value in this future. I think if you wanted to get in on the Ravens, it was a couple weeks ago before they ran off some wins against shitty teams.
Yep.
And suddenly people are like, myself included. I do think that this, like I said, I think that both the 4 and the 5 seed, Baltimore and Tennessee, are equipped to go into Kansas City and potentially give them trouble. But I'm
plus 500. That is 500. A horrible price.
Again, I don't know who's betting that. Obviously, they've gotten some money. Obviously, people are buying into some of the hype and the fact that
they start out on the road. That to me is just, even if you like Baltimore and you made the case for Baltimore, which could be had certainly, but 500 to win the conference, 1,000 to win the Super Bowl. That's fucking insane.
And I think
there's no value.
And I think to the point, if you play the game of let me rank all of the quarterbacks in the conference and decide like which guys like you want to go, you are on the team, you want to go to battle. Where are you ranking Lamar Jackson? Who are you ranking Lamar Jackson over? You're not ranking him over Mahomes. You're not ranking him over Josh Allen. You're not ranking him over Ben Roethlisberger. You're not even ranking. I'm not ranking him over Tannehill.
No.
Baker, yes.
Tannehill's gone on the road and won.
Probably Phillip because of the weather situation, but his old bones and shit. But like I just don't like quarterbacks win championships.
Yep.
So yeah, running backs don't win championships. Oh, shots fired.
Cleveland Browns are 35 to 1 to win the conference, 75 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. I'm not. I just, for my notes on the Browns, I just wrote no way. I'll say this though. I think it's priced accurately. I think for the Browns to win the conference, 35 to 1. For me as a gambling man, I would rather have the Bears at 40 to 1 to win the conference. Again, neither of those are happening, but I'd rather have the Bears.
It's tough, right?
But again, neither are happening.
In a very Cleveland fashion, they finally make the playoffs, and a global pandemic is going to assist in derailing their season.
Yeah, and we can. I mean, COVID whacked them pretty good, back-to-back weeks. Again, they already had their Super Bowl, and you listen to Stefanski's press conference. It's kind of funny because right before he gets COVID, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go home, pour a tall drink, and just relax and sit in my house." It's like you didn't realize how right you were, Stefanski, because you're just gonna have to sit in there. And I feel for the guy because and I like Cleveland as a sports town. I do find Baker slightly annoying, but I'm happy for Browns fans that they're gonna have this moment to play the Steelers in the playoffs.
Since Dwayne Haskins had been cut, he was back home in Ohio hanging out with Stefanski.
Oh no!
He's now a private party consultant.
Got a little boat trip going.
The boat trip.
Yeah,
would suggest that Cleveland might be an interesting buy as Odell.
You thought Odell being injured. They gotten rid of the boat trip curse. They got the Browns into the playoffs, but then no, Odell comes out of nowhere to give them that COVID curse. Moving over to the 7 seed, feels weird saying that. The Indianapolis Colts 22-1, 40-1 to win the Super Bowl. Now it's a tough path, but. I think maybe there's some value there at 40 to I would say slight value at 22-1. Now I don't think I'm probably not going to hop on it, but certainly if you compared it to other similar futures, like I would rather take the Colts at 22-1 than maybe the Rams at 14-1.
Here's the angle for why you might even take the Colts if you're a Bills fan. If you get heartbroken,
yeah.
Could Indy like quietly go into Kansas City? Boom, another team that can pound the ball and actually could, potentially run a game plan out there that could give Kansas City trouble. I don't know if I like them to upset Kansas City, but I think their odds are quite inflated. And I think it's all about the fact that they're almost a touchdown underdog in the first game.
And Phillip has won some playoff games on the road. Most notably 2019, they beat the Ravens 23-17, 2014 beat the Bengals 27-10. So he's
it's a gamer.
He's gone on the road, won some playoff games. I mean, 2008 he played an AFC Championship game with no ACL. Granted, he lost, but he's 5-6 in the postseason. You have Frank Reich. You have a running game. You have a defense that can stop the run. I don't like their path, but at 22-1, at least I wouldn't be annoyed at someone who bet them. And I would almost take it the next step further. If you like the Colts and you think they have a magical run in them, I would almost go Super Bowl at 40-1 because I feel like you're getting a better price than you did preseason, and they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, what was the preseason price? I have a ticket. I think it was 18 or 20-1.
Yeah, so you're getting double the price, and they're actually in the postseason now. So I think there is some value on them there. Although I of these long shots, I think. I mean, what's more realistic? Indy winning the Super Bowl or Chicago winning the NFC?
Indy winning the Super Bowl,
right? Priced at that same thing. And maybe that would be a fun blog post. I probably won't write it, but like ranking your favorite playoff futures in order. I could see a nice little power rankings article there.
Survivor pool action. Yeah, I mean, I would say that. Yeah, I'm with you. We're lockstep.
Lockstep indeed. All right, we're gonna get over to the games. Before we get to that, I want to shout out Better Edge. You know what Better Edge is, Ryan? Basically a stock market for sports bets. So it allows you to say, hey, I like the Bills -6.5. Here's how much I'm willing to bet on it. And then someone else out in the betting exchange is able to buy that position. The cool part is, since you're buying and selling these positions, there's no VIG. So there's no house. You can play for money in 40 states. That's right. 40 states, legal in 40 states. I'm already 2-1 with some of my Better Edge bets, Ryan, the real money bets, and they have free options as well. they're doing a little contest too, which is pretty fun. It's the SGP Wild Card Wager. It's only $10 to enter, and the cool thing is you enter for $10. They basically give you a thousand of their Better Edge bucks or whatever. I forget the name is, but basically 1,000 units to put on your Wild Card Weekend picks. And whoever's the highest earning takes home the entire pool. A battle royale, they're calling it. It's a $10 free bet, and you get a $10 free bet at betteredge.com. Promo code SGP, BETTOR edge.com. Promo code SGP. But yeah, you just click on the competition, do the SGP Wildcard Weekend one, $10 entry fee. Winner take all.
Sean, shout out to the YouTube chat. XFL Jim's hanging out. Wants to know if he signs up for Better Edge.
Yeah.
Can he put day trader on his resume?
Yes, you can. You also have to pass your Series 7.
Yeah.
No, we
have the same requirements as
#Legends only.
As the Boiler Room Wolf of Wall Street guys. So yeah,
Ryan, I was really. As a guy who came up with the nickname Swolford for the Rams quarterback, when I heard Wolford of Wall Street, I was really disappointed that I didn't get to that one myself.
That's a good one.
So game recognizes game, Ryan. And shout out to Greg, one of the guys behind Better Edge. He's hanging out in the chat room. So, it's a new product.
I saw that. I was just about to comment. There's a map of all the states where it is legal.
Yeah.
And Sean, just like I had to drive across the border in New Mexico or to get out of Arizona, same thing. Apparently, what a crazy state. Everything's legal in Arizona, but not DFS.
It is weird. Arizona, you can have like an open carry in the Starbucks. You can walk into a Starbucks with like an AR-15 around a bandolier, but if you want to play like daily fan, I'd like
5,000 for Jamison Crowder. Huh?
I'd like to place.
What kind of moral high ground do you live on, sir?
I'd like to place a $3 wager. Oh my God, get the hell out of here. I'm all for freedom. I got no beef with guns.
They love freedom. That's the thing.
No, I know. If you're pro freedom, let the man play DFS.
Yeah, Jesus.
I think it's a little intense to bring an AR-15 into Starbucks. You probably shouldn't have that much caffeine and operate a firearm. A little jittery, but again,
no red eyes.
People should be allowed to protect themselves. We can find some middle ground in this country, Ryan, and that, of course, is talking about NFL bets. Let's do it. Walk us through the AFC picks.
So we're talking AFC. So it's a little broken up. Only one game on Saturday. The first game, Sean, Saturday at 10:05 a.m. The I love that this is the first game of the playoffs. The Colts head to Buffalo. Two teams.
This is a great early game.
I'm kind of mad because this is like when the 7-10 matchup in March Madness is two teams you've been itching to bet on. I wanted to bet on Indy. I bet on Indy every week, but anyway, they're taking on Buffalo. Buffalo -6.5 plus or -300. Buffalo on the money line +250 for the Colts. 52 is the total. It's going to be cold. I'm looking at the weather right now. Kickoff temperatures expected to be in freezing. Going to feel like close to 18 with a little bit of wind, Sean, but it is going to be sunny. Going to be sunny.
And that was kind of my note on this Bills team. I think it is weird to say this about a team from Buffalo, but I think weather is one of the few things besides maybe the Chiefs and whoever they end up matching up with, but
Josh Allen.
Weather is one of the few things I think that could actually derail this Buffalo team because they rely so much on that pass and they spread it out. They have 5 wide, and we saw some game against the Chiefs earlier in the season, pouring down rain, couldn't get it going. I mean, Josh Allen was kind of banged up. It was a weird game that got rescheduled. So a lot going on. I do think weather, ironically, could be one of the things that derails this Bills team. I almost said buzzsaw, Ryan, because that is the Buffalo buzzsaw. You can't bet against this team.
No.
Are you crazy?
No, I don't think you can.
And the Bills, it's not just like a fluke. That Miami game where they
fucked them up.
Miami needed that game to get in the playoffs, and we all know Tua sucks, but they destroyed them. And it's Sean, one thing for Miami's offense to struggle, but Miami's defense coming into that game,
the pass defense was phenomenal.
Miami's defense was leading the league in points per game allowed coming into that game, and the Bills put up the most points in a game this entire season, 56 points. Matt Barkley was throwing on these guys in a must-win situation.
They weren't fucking around,
and they're winning by a gigantic margin. The team chemistry is dynamic.
They're throwing snowballs, Sean. You know, teams that have snowball fights always go on some sort of run. Look, they're 8-0 in their last 8 against the spread. 8-0, covering by an average of more than 2 touchdowns.
And they've done it in big games too.
Just digest that. Covering by more than 2 touchdowns. Again, I think this is a 13-3 team, and we were talking about this off air. That if you take away the couple games where Josh Allen was a little banged up, and like you said, it was a weird COVID reschedule. They lost on a short week to Kansas City where Josh Allen was banged up, and then they lost on a Hail Mary.
Yeah,
this is a team that's pretty fucking close to being perfect. And boy, I think in a weird way, although I'm looking at the splits and it does look like there's 60 to 70% of the tickets and cash coming in on Buffalo. I've heard reports that the Indy is expected to be the public side here. I don't quite understand that. Like you said, Buffalo's a buzzsaw. If you're betting on them, you're winning every week. So who's going the other way? So look, I understand the reason you might want to take Phillip and Indy this year. They have the defense. They have the running game. It's really looking good. But at the end of the day, this is a dome team going to Buffalo. And when home field, as we discussed, doesn't matter. Literally the same amount of home teams and road teams have led at the end of regulation. But weather matters. And Bills fans are fucking mad. They're crazy people. They jump through tables. They have their kids jump through tables, and they will absolutely. I mean, Gronk is a Bills fan. That's all you need to know.
And as a guy who hung out and worked with their entire family, they're all just like clones of Rob. They're just all different versions of Rob Gronkowski. I mean, I wish I could make this. I wish I could make this up. The dad sold gym equipment door to door. Like all they did was lift weights. And Gronk told us,
you need kettlebells.
Gronk told a story. It was amazing where they had 4 bunk beds and 5 brothers. And so it's just basically, if you wanted
fucking Hunger Games every night,
if you wanted a bed, you had to fuck up one of your brothers. And you're like, okay, that's how you raise a professional athlete. The mom sounds pretty intense too. But coming back to this game, making a case for the other side, the Colts have a pretty good offensive line, but I think the Costanzo injury, that's huge. And their offensive line hasn't been quite the same. I mean, you laid it out, Ryan. Jonathan Taylor running the ball down this team's throat. Frank Reich is a very good coach. It's kind of becoming obvious. He was a big part of the 2017 Eagles team. He's a former Bill, maybe has some insights for how to play outdoors in Buffalo to pass on to Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers dealing with that toe injury. That's a little worrisome. But to me, the biggest issue here is that defense, which we fell in love with the Colts early. It's just not quite the same. Their front seven's still pretty good, and Darius Leonard is dominant, but Darius Leonard isn't covering the receivers on the outside. So the Bills are going to spread you out, pass all over you. Cole Beasley probably not going to play, but they got John Brown back. McKenzie had a huge day, 3 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs is goddamn unguardable.
Yeah.
And look at, I mean, in a must-win situation, the Colts let Laviska Shenault go 6 for 68 and 2 touchdowns against. And I mean, we ended up getting that 14-point push, and I covered at 13.5 because that's what I moved the line.
You bet
saw
numbers.
It coming.
You bet numbers, not teams.
There was a real worry that they were going to lose that game to the Jags, and this team is good, but I don't know what it is. It's in the second half. They fall apart, and I'm going to be watching these live numbers.
They just randomly have these series where it's just like, what the fuck were you doing? Like let's bring in Brissett and run a little read option, 2nd and 10, and lose a yard. They just have they have like I think Frank Reich might be a good coach, but he overthinks it sometimes.
He does,
and I think the thing that this Buffalo team is not doing. They've taken on the characteristics and the moxie of a dude from Wyoming.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, Sean,
they're just gelling, man.
This past year, I told you I went to a dude ranch in northern Colorado near Wyoming. One of the guys who worked there, college buddy, whatever. He probably went there at the same time, but spoke about how this is I'm dude who I'm watching like get kicked by horses. Tell me that Josh Allen's a tough dude. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this offense is taking on that personality of like, fuck it. I'm a dude from Wyoming. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Or I'm a dude who played in Wyoming. I don't give a fuck. And they are, like you said, they're passing up 30 points against a division rival with Matt fucking Barkley. So I don't see the angle with Indy. I don't see the case, especially when you start diving into the DVOA, the weighted DVOA, and you see, like you said, that defense dropping from 7th on the season to 10th when you look more weighted. Whereas Buffalo overall, number 1 team DVOA when you look at the overall or the weighted DVOA. So obviously recency matters there, and they are absolutely on fire. And I just, you know what? There's a version of this where they backdoor this somehow because Buffalo does have the propensity to give up points sometimes, but they're just not putting.
But they score so many points.
They don't take the foot off the gas.
And I haven't heard enough talk about Brian Dable, the Bills offensive coordinator, for a head coach, because what he's done with that offense, what he's done with Josh Allen in particular.
Yeah.
Now, granted, bringing in Stephon Diggs, that was a great trade. That was a perfect match. You know, Allen struggled with the deep ball. Diggs is great at catching the deep ball, but he's done a ton. Like, dudes are just wide open. They're in such a good flow right now. He should be getting serious consideration for a head coaching job. Rivers, again, talking a little bit more about Phillip Rivers. He's good as an underdog. 13-6 against the spread as an underdog, 6.5 or more. This Indy team has some playmakers. They have some pride. And I think they'll give them a game, and maybe this is a game pretty early, or in the first half, but second half, I think the Bills close it out strong. I already bet this at 6.5. I still like it at 7, but you can get 6.5s.
Here's what I'll say. I agree with you. I'm also going to be laying the points with Buffalo at 6.5. I would probably lay it at 7. I'm definitely circling it for teasers. Here's a little next level nugget I'm going to throw out to you. I'm going to break it out by halves. If you look at the matchup, first half DVOA for Buffalo's offense 3rd versus Indy's defense 19th in the first half. Then you hop over to look to see that Buffalo's offense in the second half is 25th. Buffalo's defense is 11th. They get better as the game goes on. So anyway, the moral of the story is a double result where Buffalo leading at halftime because they get out early, they come out firing and win the game. You're going to get a discount on that money line playing the double result there. That's something I'm going to get involved with because it seems I don't see too many versions of this where Buffalo isn't leading at halftime. So I like that angle. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess I don't think we have hit on the Bills defense that much. The Bills defense has had issues, but again, Matt Milano, that linebacker, whatever it is, he's the straw that stirs the drink. And to the other side, DeForest Buckner is kind of the guy for the Colts, and he's been dealing with injury stuff. And I don't know if him just not being 100% is slowing them down, but really, I don't know. They just haven't been as scary as that Colts defense once was. Kramer, what are we talking about? I'll tell you what we're talking about. Better Than Vegas. That's right. You ever wanted YouTube, but YouTube just for sports gambling?
#Legends only.
Not a bunch of kids opening up presents, people in their dumb recipes. You're watching a video. You want people talking about sports. What about the SGPN crew? We got our own page over on Better Than Vegas, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV. Colby Dant, the Dantabase, making some video pics on there. His brother NC Nick, Patty C getting involved. Georgia Brooks, new NBA contributor. Rich Fat Baby Ryan McKee. So many of the SGPN crew. Kramer and I will all be giving out our picks over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV. That'll send you right over to our Better Than Vegas page. Subscribe and check it out. I mean, they're nice little 2 to 3 minute videos giving you a lean, why we like it. See inside my back patio. You can do it all. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV.
And shout out to the Twitch crowd. JTD over there claiming that Josh Allen's dad used to whip tennis balls at him to toughen him up. So no way to validate that information, but I like it. It sounds like a true degen. One last thing I was going to point out in this game is that I think another one last way to attack this is I wonder what Diggs props will look like. I think they could actually be a little depressed, even though people will obviously want to, because they'll talk about the Indy defense. I think the mainstream pregame shows and the mainstream conversation has been about this Indy's defense against this Colts offense, but I don't see any way he gets slowed down.
Ryan, Nick Fortune's asking, are we going to be doing prop bets on this episode? I think we'll save that for the pregame shows on Saturday and Sunday. Prop market's usually pretty late, and the stuff you can find right now is tough. So we'll save those for Saturday and Sunday. Give you a reason to check out our locker room broadcast. Follow us on Twitter at Gambling Podcast for all the details there. But it's a pregame show. We're going to knock on wood, we get the technical stuff, but you'll be able to call in and get on air. So that'll be fun as well.
Yeah, we'll have to tweet out the details of what you want to do ahead of time so you can participate. It could be a shit show, Sean.
It could.
Too many degens in the, what do they say? Too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many degens in the sports book. The next game we're going to do, heading over to Sunday. Again, the first game, Baltimore heads to Tennessee. Tennessee +3, +150 on the money line. Baltimore -170. 54.5 is the total. Boy. We were discussing this last weekend, Sean, and I said I thought Tennessee would be a short dog. I thought Baltimore might be favored by a point or two. Shocked to see it open at 3.5. Shocked to still see it at 3. The futures market definitely lines up. Discussed that earlier. Baltimore +500 to win the conference. I get it. I get it. Here's why I get it, Sean, because these fucking nerd sharps look at the box score and they tell you how much Baltimore overproduced Tennessee in these games. They outgained them, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes a motherfucking guy can't get it done in a situation. And sometimes a team just has your number.
Well, it's like the Saints with the Bucks. I mean, they beat them twice, and the Bucks have had moments, and especially closing out strong, where they've looked like a good team.
Why is I totally get, I think, why Baltimore's favorite. I just don't get it. Like, I understand it. You're going to get hit. You're going to get, if you make Tennessee -2.5, people are going to bet Baltimore. I would say fine. Like, you're giving me +3.
I looked at this game a million times, and I'm trying to figure out how you could get me to bet. I bet it. I bet it at Titans 3.5. I got the half. I think it was Smart, man. I think it was Titans +3 +100. So I got the half there because this could be a field goal game, but I also like Titans to win outright. Derrick Henry, 710 rushing yards the last 4 games. I mean, how is this man going to be slowed down? And he's had good games against this Ravens defense. And the interesting thing with the Titans is, where do they struggle on defense? Their defense is really bad, but they struggle with the outside, with the cornerbacks, with the deep passing ball. What the Ravens struggle with. Yeah, I mean, the Titans will let up 300 or 400 passing yards to Deshaun Watson. Lamar Jackson can't get to 200 passing yards against the Titans.
That's another angle people are throwing out, that Lamar has made good work against bad defenses.
Yes.
I think again,
but not the Titans. They played earlier this season. He threw for 186. Yep. They lost at home, and quietly 13 for 51 on the ground. Whatever it is about this Titans defense, they held him to 3.9 yards per carry. If you can hold Lamar Jackson to 3.9 yards per carry, you are going to be alive in this game. And they can keep the Baltimore offense off the field by pounding the rock with King Henry.
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna make a reference to a Giants game, but what I watched when the Giants played the Ravens is the Giants let Lamar kind of scramble around.
Yeah.
And that didn't seem to be the right strategy. I think Tennessee has deployed the right strategy in playing him the past couple times. And again, I look to the money splits and I see 76, 2/3 of the money on the Ravens. I don't get, I really don't understand it. I know it's sharp money. I just don't get it. I don't think Tennessee is going to be a public dog. I'm not worried about that. And I think this is a team that's just battle tested. Like you watch them play and they have that swag. Like Tannehill has a swagger about him that he's the better quarterback in this game.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's close. And I think the average person doesn't believe that. And that's all that's driving this number. That's what it is. And sure, you might argue there's no home field advantage, especially in this game, Sean. Not a game where we're looking at any sort of weather. I guess there's a tiny chance of a drizzle, but no, it's going to be a sunny day. It's going to be 40 degrees. It shouldn't impact anything. The ball's going to be flying. I think this is going to be an absolute shootout. The total indicates that. I don't know if I'm going to run to the. I'm not a totals guy, Sean, as you know, but Tannehill is 22. Oh, I'm sorry. Tannehill starts. They're 22-6-1 to the over, and I just think when I think about Baltimore and Tennessee, if they're in a shootout and the game goes over, which quarterback do you want to have?
Well, and I mean, watching that Houston game, right? And well, when Houston tied it up, were you surprised that Tennessee was able to? I mean, Tannehill uncorked a bomb. They got down there. They hit that field goal. The only thing that's scaring me, Ryan,
is what
is the Titans kicker.
Oh no!
Is
he hurt? He's still hurt.
Gostkowski, is there a chance
he could come back? Let's Google it. That is a key point because it is the playoffs.
Yes. Last I've heard is Sam Sloman hit that game-winning kick. It was his first game-winning kick.
You got to bring him back.
And Brett Kern, I guess, was on the COVID list. And then I don't know where are we at with Stephen Gostkowski? Because if he is out there kicking, I'm seriously worried.
Don't see anything.
He's on the so I thought it was the COVID list. Yeah, Gostkowski is on the COVID list. I'm worried Gostkowski comes off the COVID list. They put him out in this game. That's why. Now I said I like the money line. I do, but my bigger bet will be on the 3.5 because Gostkowski could be the key difference in missing a field goal. But this Titans team seemed to have a strategy of just scoring touchdowns, which is a good strategy. And I think it's just matchup wise, they just have the Ravens number. Roger Saffold, the guard for Tennessee, he's a game time decision. I think that will hurt them if he doesn't play. Calais Campbell, he's been playing, but again, he to me is in that DeForest Buckner arena where he's playing, but maybe he's not quite 100%.
So there's no, I can't see anything. Gostkowski definitely tested positive.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a contact tracing. No reports on if he's asymptomatic or showing symptoms. Obviously, if he's not sick, there's plenty of time for him to get back, assuming a negative.
But Sloman just hit a game-winning kick, and Gostkowski sucks. We dealt with that early in the season, and he was just, pulling your hair out. I don't know. Hopefully, Gostkowski doesn't play. That is one thing that scares me about this game.
And I think Harbaugh's a good coach, but again, there's something about the way this Titans team, there's a lot of belief, and they've done it.
Isn't the butthole going to be tight? Isn't if Lamar Jackson's down 4 late in the game?
At what point? How many games in a row do you have to beat a team before people realize you got their number?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's fine to say, well, look at the stat sheet. That was a fluke. Was it? Maybe, but that's the problem with NFL playoff football, Sean, especially on Super Wild Card Weekend.
Super Wild Card Weekend.
Small sample size. I'm kind of surprised. That I can't believe we're getting 3. I mean, like you did. I got 3.5, so we're good to go. All right, last of the AFC.
Before we get to that, Ryan, want to shout out Ace Per Head. Of course, Ace is the place. Thinking about starting your own online sports book? All you got to do is go to aceperhead.com. Ace Per Head. They are a sports book software solution. Again, you need software for your online sports book? Ace Per Head got you covered. And use our sign up link, aceperhead.com/SGP. Get up to 6 weeks free. That's right. 6 weeks free of their amazing sportsbook software, completely FREE, up to 6 weeks free. Again, need to use that link so they know we sent you. aceperhead.com/SGP.
Last of the games and the AFC games for the Super Wild Card Weekend. Cleveland heads to Pittsburgh for a rematch. We just saw this last week, except for instead of Mason Rudolph, we'll see Big Ben, TJ Watt out there. Cleveland 5.5 point dogs, plus 210 on the money line. Pittsburgh minus 250, 46.5 is the total. We got down early on this one. I think we both were in the camp that Cleveland doesn't have a fucking chance after celebrating like they won the Super Bowl, beating.
They're ready to dump the Gatorade.
Stefanski being out, I think will matter. I think he's a good
certainly not going to
coach.
help.
And I think the number one thing I should call out here, much like we talked about this with Baltimore and Tennessee, sometimes you got to keep it simple, stupid. Pittsburgh 2-0 ATS against the Browns. Pittsburgh also has a pass rush. What does Baker struggle against?
Yep,
a motherfucking pass rush. So I don't think there's much to dive into this game at all. I understand it's a third matchup between two teams, but I don't know the position. Obviously, it's going to be contrarian.
And you say pass rush, but Chris Hubbard, offensive lineman for the Browns, he is now, he was on injured reserve. I misspoke. I think they're going to lose another offensive lineman. They're still trying to figure out the COVID situation, but they're going to miss their offensive line coach and could be missing more offensive linemen. And you saw that pressure the Steelers got against Baker without TJ Watt. Now TJ Watt has a week of rest. Ryan, one thing that scares me about this game, and of course, like you already said,
Big Ben could fuck it up.
I already bet the Steelers at -4. I liked it at 3.5. I was kicking myself when it moved to 4. I'm like, I got to get down before it gets too high. Big Ben coming off a week off. Now, Ryan, you had been in high school, right? What do you do on your sick day? You're all alone. Big Ben's had a lot of time to himself. As a man who deals with addiction, I'm worried he may have re-injured his elbow in his off days.
Literally fell off the wagon.
Yeah, of course. Ben Roethlisberger. Addiction is no laughing matter. It's a disease, and he's addicted to jerking off, and that's why he blew out his elbow. No, he really did admit to being a masturbating addict.
What did you do to your wife that you had to admit publicly that you were addicted to porn?
Oh God.
Talk about like you got caught and you blamed it on the internet, and then you blamed it on the internet so hard you have to go public with your porn addiction.
And Browns may be losing another guy. This was a late one. And shout out to Big Play Dave, longtime Browns fan, who said he was going to start tailgating as soon as the original game was over and tailgate for a straight week. That guy's the man. And I feel for Browns fans, but I can't pick you here. Rashard Higgins. He could be out. He was cited for drag racing and marijuana.
Woo! It's smoking my weed.
That shouldn't be. I mean, he shouldn't. But in fairness, I hope he doesn't miss the game because of that.
Who knows? I'm just saying it's adding
nothing wrong with a little drag racing.
It's adding to the week of hell for this Browns team. Again, Baker Mayfield is a first-time playoff quarterback. They are 15-34-1 against the spread in these unsure times. Why not take the sure thing here with the Steelers? Pittsburgh 35-6 the last 41 games against the Browns, and that includes a win last week where they were Mason Rudolph was basically in a backup role and almost tied the game up with a late 2-point conversion. A game they needed to win. You know, the Browns, they lost Olivier Vernon. He blew out his Achilles recently. He had gotten the Browns 9 sacks. Looks like they might get Denzel Ward back, but again, I think I heard his name in the COVID mix as well. I do think Tomlin just so seasoned for these playoff games. There's a chance Big Ben fucks this up, but he's at home coming off a week of rest. This is, I think, the best case scenario for him. I just
let Mason Rudolph throw for 315. I mean,
that's really all you need to see. And maybe they get their cornerback back. That'll help them a little bit. But I think this Pittsburgh defense, we hit on it in the FFPC show. They come to play. They turn Baker over. They get the Steelers a defensive touchdown. And unfortunately, I don't think this game is going to be close.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we're not talking about this as like a 3.5 to 4.5 point game. We are talking about a 5.5 point game. But Tomlin at home, you mentioned it. He's a stud in the playoffs at home, 7-2 ATS. So I'm with you. I think we
and
nothing cool about us agreeing 3 times, Sean.
Here's the bonus: if we bet on the Steelers here and somehow the Browns pull it off, then you know you can really bet against the Browns next week. So whatever money you lose on the Steelers, don't worry, you will get it back the following week betting against the Browns. Because again, this was their Super Bowl. You listen to, I can hear it in people's voice. Stefanski, when he was like saying,
18 years.
Yeah,
Sean.
You got to savor it a little bit. You can't be afraid to savor it. Were the Steelers savoring it? No, they were 12-4 and won the division. They're not losing their minds. It's business as usual.
And honestly, we didn't talk about this with Buffalo because it's the first time in a long time they won the division. But you saw how much they stomped on Miami after that crowd showed up at the airport, after they had clinched the division.
And I think they're a team that's like having fun with it. Again, I think it just comes down to, I find Baker a little bit annoying. Otherwise, it would be easier to like this Cleveland team. And I mean, Cleveland as a sports town, I'm sure we have a bunch of listeners in Cleveland. God bless you guys. And it's one of those things, if they,
God bless,
if they do end up pulling it off, it'll be a fun story, but give me Pittsburgh -5.
And Josh Allen already took his lumps,
Yeah.
So,
and Josh Allen had that weird game. They were up 16 points. They figured out a way to blow that game somehow.
I'll tell you this: he threw 46 passes in that game. If he throws 46 passes in this game, they're going to win, and they're going to win big.
Who? The Bills?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is funny. They're just in a completely different spot right now, and that's why it makes so much sense. Dable as a head coach, I've really liked what they've done. Kramer, time for the Lock Dog Tease presented by
Happy birthday.
WinBet. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/win WYNN. Get your $500 free bet in this weekend for Super Wild Card Weekend. I think we just do a lock, and I guess throw in the dog, but I'll go lock Buffalo -6.5. Not much more to say. Tennessee, only dog I liked here. I assume you're on the same page, Ryan, or are you gonna get a little contrarian here and take Pittsburgh -5.5?
No, the double lock salute has not been golden. So give me Pittsburgh. Like we discussed, I do have a slightly better number in my pocket, but this feels like it could be a bloodbath. I mean, we've seen it. Baker's high variance and the pass rush is always trouble. So lay the points.
That Pittsburgh defense is vicious, and I think they're just really gonna. I don't think they're gonna let them get anything going offensively. The Browns.
Yeah, and you know what? I think we didn't get to this, but I think another thing to call out with the Pittsburgh game is maybe a situation where you're betting at halftime on Pittsburgh. They have some nice second half splits, and you can see them come out slow. They do know how to take care of business at the end. Obviously, Tennessee's my dog, Sean. There's only 3 games.
Yep,
only dog we got. And then what props coming. On the
props coming, we'll give those out on the pregame show. Super Wild Card Weekend. We'll be breaking down the doing the same format for the NFC tomorrow. Then Thursday night, taping the DFS Picks podcast with our buddy Adam Pelletier. I'm sure I'll have some Bills heavy lineups.
And Sean, for the record, I'm okay with teasing these 3 teams. The 3 teams I selected: Tennessee up to 9, Buffalo down to 0.5. And Pittsburgh to +0.5. I mean, there's no harm.
Okay.
And if you're gonna parlay them, you might as well tease them too. A little safety net.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think with the teases, especially with this one, I would just rather parlay it. But yeah, if you want to, the tease that actually kind of scares me is Tennessee +9. Even though I like them doing outright, and certainly at 3.5 what I bet it at. But of those, I think it's either going to be a win, maybe they lose by 3, but I don't know. I don't see the situation where you need the 6 points. You're either going to be screwed and Ravens dominate, or Tennessee's going to win or win short.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It just feels like that number isn't something you need to tease. Although, a lot of systems would tell you that's a good tease. Again, awesome week of content. Stay tuned. We're going to be doing some pregame, postgame shows with Locker Room, which allows you guys to call in, and our gambling simulcast with Better View Live. That is kicking off 8 p.m. East Saturday night, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. BetterViewLive.com. Just hit join demo there. Very easy to figure out. Follow us on Twitter at Gambling Podcast so you can stay up to date with all the content. And there is a ton of stuff besides some playoff picks. Our boy John Jackson doing some deep dive stuff, DFS stuff. Golf is back, of course. Colby Dant, the Dantabase, killing it with a ton of college basketball picks and content over on the College Experience. Kramer.
Yes.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green in. He is Ryan.
Just quick update to a note earlier. It was not Josh Allen whose father whipped tennis balls at him. Apologies to JTB in the Twitch chat. It was Rob Gronkowski.
Kramer, let it ride.